Hi there, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our next session in the Meet the Funder series for our virtual festival here. We really appreciate you being here. I am joined today by Frankie Warren of Lego Ventures. Thanks for joining, Frankie. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
I just wanted to set the stage a little bit for what we're going to experience today in the short half hour that we have with each other. Meet the Funder is a session format that we pioneered at our physical festival a couple of years ago, with the intent being that we wanted to kind of demystify the funding and financial support process for lots of our community members who are looking to understand that a bit more. And what better way to do that than to pair those folks with questions to the folks that kind of have the answers, right? So in the half hour that we've got, Frankie's going to be presenting a bit more about Lego Ventures, what they do, what they're looking for, and how they support their projects in the game space. But we're hoping certainly that this can be a session that's discussion based, right? So I'll stay on as a moderator. I might like hide in the background for a bit, but I certainly encourage everybody that's watching to jump into the chat. You should see the session chat on the right, and comment on anything that you see that's interesting from Frankie's presentation. Certainly, any questions that come up, make sure you've got them there, and I'll be sure to address them once we kind of get back into the discussion portion here. But we certainly look forward to getting into the nitty gritty. That's the part here. Don't be shy, certainly. And with that, Frankie, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the introduction. I'm super excited to be here. I'm assuming you can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can hear you great.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen now, and we'll get into the presentation and go from there. Okay, so I'm going to go through a quick presentation here. I wanted to sort of set out the plan for the 30 minutes together. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, more about Lego Ventures, and then mostly save time for your questions. I'm really excited to get going here. So what's the little bit about me? I started my career in education, actually, at a company called Clever. While I was there, we scaled from about 0 monthly active users all the way up to 15 million monthly active users. Clever is a platform that connects school districts with their instructional technology applications. Under the hood, it's single sign-on and data integration, but in the classroom, it's just magic and helps kids get into their applications easily. From there, I moved to Lego Education, where I was a commercial lead on one of our new projects that's actually coming out sometime soon, which I'm really excited about. And worked on stuff related to Spike Prime, which is our latest little friendly robot there at the bottom. It's really actually interesting in this kind of coronavirus environment, how much Lego Education is an important part of the Lego story. And we're actually, for the first time, selling Lego products on Lego.com. Lego Education products are available on Lego.com. So if you wanted to get this little Spike guy, you could go to Lego.com and find him there. But I'm really here to talk about Lego Ventures and our story and what is the impact that we're trying to have in the gaming space. I think that the best thing to do is kind of start at the beginning and think about the heritage of the Lego brand. It's really about inspiring and developing the builders of tomorrow. And so many of the folks that I've talked to who are actually building games today, who are building great companies today, the first time that they actually built something was with Lego, and that's super humbling and really great to hear. That connection with Lego is already sort of deeply established by the time we're even talking about the products that people are working on. Lego is a family-owned business. On the right-hand side here, you can see our 3 generations of ownership, starting with Ole Kirk, who was actually came up with the name Lego, which is a combination of leg and got, which are 2 Danish words that mean play well together. We're actually in our 4th generation of ownership, with Thomas taking the helm now. But if we fast forward to the present day, what does our ecosystem look like? Kirkby is the holding company of the Lego Group. It primarily focuses on stewardship of the Lego brand and of the entity, but also does investments in things like renewable energy, for example. The Lego Group on the far left is the brand that you're probably most familiar with. That is the toy business, and really like the stores in the mall, or Lego Harry Potter, all the toys that kids play with. We have Merlin Entertainment, which is the Legoland theme parks. Lego Ventures, which is the newest entity of the Lego group, and that's where I sit. Lego House, which is our experiential museum in Billund, Denmark, which is really the home of the brick. And it's just a phenomenal experience if you ever get the chance to go to Denmark. Lego Education, which is where I sat previously. This is a separate business unit with its own P&L that creates Lego sets that are designed for use in the classroom. It's actually a lot of fun. And then finally, the Lego Foundation. Lego Foundation is the charitable giving arm doing large-scale grant making, as well as the Center of Academic Research, and also has a corporate governance function. The Lego Foundation actually owns 25% of the Lego group, and so 25% of the profits that are distributed from the toys that people buy go into the foundation and directly into our grant making. But the sort of important thing to know is that Lego Ventures is not about the brick. It's actually about looking beyond the brick. And we believe that the brick is one really great system in play, but that other people are also developing great systems in play. We have 3 lighthouses that really tie our investment thesis together. That's learning, play, and creativity. We know that the Lego brick is one good example of a system in play that has these characteristics. But we're excited to talk to other companies who are also pushing forward these topics. The opportunity spaces that we focus on are digital play and education technology. So you can think of these as kind of the industries, I guess. Digital play refers to gaming, and ed tech is a bit where my background was with those instructional technology applications that are used in the classroom. If we zoom in a bit on digital play in particular, I thought it was important to highlight the opportunity areas within digital play that we're really excited about. So creative sandboxes, these are solo or multiplayer game experiences that are open-ended. Number 2, creating digital play. So these are kind of game building games, that type of thing. Bite-sized but rich. So these are mobile experiences that are bringing really meaningful play to people. On the bottom left, we have creative digital competition. So this is kind of like a twist on esports. We don't really see too many companies in this space right now, but with Lego Masters that people are really excited about, we've seen how you can kind of combine competition with creativity to create really unique experiences, and we're excited about that in the gaming space. Playful connective experiences. This is about embedding that sort of native social experience into gaming and into applications. We're actually focused on some cross-generational experiences. So how do parents and kids play together? How do kids and their grandparents play together? That type of thing. And the last one, digital play with meaning. So games that challenge players to think differently and to go outside of their comfort zone as they're sort of experiencing the digital play. When we talk about Lego Ventures and our investment strategy, we're size and stage agnostic. Well, that means that we're able to invest in a very small seed round, for example, all the way up to a later stage growth round. The thing that really is most important is that fit with the Lego mission and that philosophy of learning through play. We can lead or follow. So a lead investor will normally set the price of the round in collaboration with the company, or a follow-on investor might join a round that's already been established. Long-term commitment. So we're patient capital. We like to say we have a long time horizon. We're really focused on 2032 and the 100-year anniversary of the Lego Group. That's sort of the driving force between the investment work that we're doing right now. We have a global presence. I sit in our San Francisco office, but we also have people from Lego Ventures in New York, London, Billund, in Shanghai and Hong Kong. And these are investment teams that have a global scope. So we'll have EMEA or Europe being looked at through London, and China and Asian companies being looked at through our Shanghai office. So if you are any company in the world, you're able to apply to Lego Ventures. We also have a value creation team. So what I just focused on was sort of our investment team and our investment thesis. After we invest in your company, we also have a team that's dedicated to making sure that you see the value in partnering with Lego, and Lego sees the value in what we can learn from your organization as well. When you think about Lego and just the venture capital space in general, there's about $125 billion that's sitting in venture funds right now in the United States that's waiting to be deployed. And we know that the best founders are going to have their pick of capital from wherever they really want it. And we're not going to make an investment unless we feel like there's a deeper strategic alignment where we can add value outside of just giving strictly the capital. So we come with deep expertise in our specific domains, play patterns with children, distribution channels, of course, creating systems in play. And the way that we partner with our portfolio companies can range from super tactical, helping out get conferences passes and that type of thing, all the way to super strategic, where we are partnering with the team to figure out go-to-market strategy and opportunity, branding our exercises, that type of thing. Our portfolio company, our portfolio companies are across edtech and gaming. There's sort of two gaming companies to call out. Our Clang, which is a game development studio in Berlin that's focused on a really ambitious, massive multiplayer online new world building game, and super awesome as well. We also have an incubation studio. So these are for founders that don't necessarily have a company yet, but have a really great idea. And they can partner with Lego Ventures to explore that idea and actually launch the company together. And that is really what I wanted to touch on today. The sort of most important thing is how can you apply for funding, I guess. We are reachable on Twitter and LinkedIn and all the separate places, but if you go to legoventures.com/contact, you're able to submit the information about your company right there. And we are sort of guaranteed that we will see it in that way. So with that, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we can hop into the Q&A section.
No pun intended, I'm sure, Frankie.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving that short but extremely powerful talk.
Allison.
Allison, hello. Good to see you again. So once again, folks, I mean, it's meant to be conversational. I'm going to kick off with my own questions, but certainly throw yours in the chat here, and we'll be sure to open it up. So Frankie, I wanted to, I guess, start where you left off, right? Let's talk about this incubation studio. What's that process look like for younger or just earlier stage folks that are developing their ideas and trying to get them off the ground?
Yeah, our incubation studio is great. It's led by a guy named Michael Stahl, who has like decade-long experience at Lego Group and different innovation functions. So he is just an amazing leader. And the team that he's built around him is awesome. So that Spike Prime guy that I showed at the top of the slide, the lead designer on that project, is actually now part of our incubation studio and partnering with founders to work on their business ideas. They're still figuring out the model and working through it a bit. Traditionally, it's been cohort based, and the idea was to start in Europe and have people who are based in Denmark working with the incubation studio. Because of COVID-19, that's moved to a more remote opportunity. But if you're sort of at the earliest stage, right, like you have an idea, but you haven't really executed on it, you don't have a business set up yet, I would suggest getting in contact via the website about the incubation studio. The investment team is focused more on, you already have your company set up, you've found that product market fit, you understand your customer and your users, and now it's really about scaling and figuring out how you can have the sort of larger impact that's unlocked through taking on investment.
Kind of support coming through, that's great. We've got a question here from Jessica Ochoa Hendricks. Good to see you, Jessica. Hope you're well. Do you have a goal for how much capital you want to deploy each year or quarter? What's that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually don't. I think a lot of investors do. One of the nice things about being in that sort of patient capital environment is that we have a longer time horizon, and it's really about that strategic mission fit. And if we don't find X million dollars worth of deals in a quarter, like that's okay. Like it's really about making sure that we find the best opportunities. I will sort of take that to sort of talk about deploying capital in these kind of unique times right now. Lego Ventures has actually paused deploying new capital right now. So for the kind of summer months through into about Q4, I would guess, we're not going to be making new investments, and I want to be kind of upfront about that, just in case you have a shorter timeline of need before that. But we will be getting back to investment, and it's actually a really great time to meet the team and to establish that relationship. Because as we said in one of the slides, we have that sort of long-term vision and really want to establish a long-term relationship with you before we actually necessarily deploy that capital.
Awesome. A bunch of really stellar questions coming through, y'all. Thank you
Here
for
they
that.
come. Yeah, this is great.
We'll keep them coming. Taste Jorgensen, I'm curious about what are some of the things you look for in applications for the incubation studio? And this actually kind of folds into a question that I had in my head. Whether or not the different offices around the world maybe look at applications through different lenses.
Yeah, that's really great. Those are all really great questions. So let's start with the incubation studio and what we're looking for. In there, it's really about gaps in the market. I think it's sort of like the investment team has a thesis that we believe that there should be a company out there that should exist, but we can't find the right fit. And that's where our incubation studio really comes into play and can pick that up. So we don't sort of have like a call for specific types of opportunities per se, but they do have a point of view. And I would suggest reaching out to the incubation studio if you want to learn more about that. In terms of the geographical sort of alignment and how we think about that across geography, one of the things that's really amazing about Lego generally is just how universal it is, right? And how intuitive it is. And you can have a young child, a 2-year-old, that understands how to pick up the bricks and put them together. And it's as if they're glued together, right? But then they can also break that apart, rebuild, and have that sort of iterative learning experience through the bricks where the mistakes are not as costly, right? You can adjust and tinker and try things. And that's really that sort of universal lens that cuts across geographies is really what we look for. And so the exact implementation in China might be a little bit different than the exact implementation in the US. For example, in China, in the education space, we see a lot more sort of direct to consumer and parents actually spending a larger percentage of their household budget on education applications. And so we see more in the direct to consumer space in education, whereas we're partnering in the United States with companies that are selling potentially directly to schools, for example. So there is some sort of like tactical differences, and that's why it's great to have investors in those different spaces. But the thing that we are most passionate about and that we care about is that kind of universal aspect that cuts across all of them.
I guess that kind of answers this following question from Nicole as well, right? Whether or not folks are interested in overseas opportunities. All of your offices are accepting applications.
That's right. Yeah.
Around the world, right? So
yeah,
definitely an interest there. A question from one of our organizers, Kevin Duggan. Thanks for joining, Kev. Do you consider a quote unquote double bottom line when you invest and potentially less financial return offset by social good benefits, particularly good question given the folks that are here today?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting and sort of poignant question. And we have different parts of Lego also, right? So we have the Lego Foundation, and for the opportunities that are sort of have the largest sort of impact goal, but may not have the sort of commercial backing, the Lego Foundation could be potentially a good place to explore that part of the conversation. Lego Ventures is really interested in building great businesses and partnering with founders on doing that. And we believe that building a great business is one of the ways to have a sustainable impact. So I think that we are certainly not single bottom line. Like we're not only looking at the commercial return. If anything, we are skewing on the sort of strategic alignment with the learning through play. But we also are looking at those commercial metrics, and we want to make sure that the opportunities that we're talking to have that sustainability baked in to the way that they're operating their business.
Cool. This next question from Michael: do you Relationships with colleges and universities being a part of your projects? Do you connect with students or even academics in general?
Yeah, so this is like, what hat am I wearing? So when I was previously at Lego Education, we were based in Boston, and one of the reasons that we were based in Boston was because of the high density of universities there. We have a strong partnership with the Lifelong Kindergarten Group, which was initially set up by Seymour Papert and now Mitch Resnick, that does Scratch, for example. We're big contributors to that project. And so Lego has a long history, actually, of partnering with academia to, for example, build the first programmable Lego brick with Mindstorms. And Lego Mindstorms actually happen to have the book on my bookshelf behind me here. Comes from Mindstorms, right? Comes from the book. So we do have that partnership with colleges and universities. From a Lego Ventures perspective, I think it's really from our through our value creation team, where we hook into the Lego group that already has those established connections, as opposed to Lego Ventures sort of setting those up on our own.
Very good. For some of your portfolio companies, the ones that you mentioned, right? I wonder whether or not some of them are all of them tackling products or projects that are specifically relevant to children. This folds into Nina's question.
Yeah. Sorry, I also want to read her question. Yeah, so yes, I think the incubation studio does cover areas that we are also interested in. In terms of like the intended age range, it certainly is not just sort of the 5 to 12-year-old market that Lego is strongest with our core business. One of the mandates for Lego Ventures is actually to explore the Lego idea, to push it, right, and to see how does Lego fit into a different demographic. For those who are acutely following the Lego group, you may have noticed that we have recently introduced 18 plus age range building sets. And one of the most recent that was announced, I believe yesterday, was a collaboration with Nintendo for this sort of retro NES with a really fun crank wheel. So Lego, we believe the Lego experience is not just reserved for children, that it can expand beyond that. But as we say at the Lego group, children are our role models. So we definitely lean on that, but want to bring that type of mindset to more people.
So can you exemplify some of that with maybe some of the examples that you showed earlier from the portfolio pieces that you've supported thus far, right? Like I wonder, this kind of folds into Timothy's question. What's the range of profiles of companies in which you're already invested? Names are flashed up on screen, but they're interested in hearing more about why those companies were a good fit.
Yeah, for sure. So I could, it might not be worth like pulling up the slide and trying to figure out how to go back to that, but I could go through a few of them, and I think that we could talk about them.
Sure.
So maybe starting with Clang. This is a game development studio that's building an open world where you sort of can control, kind of Sims like, I guess, control the world and develop it. And so that is actually learning through play. You're sort of learning about the world around you and how things interact, but it's not necessarily learning sort of like a school subject per se, right? So that's an example where it sort of stretches. If you think about something like Minecraft, right? Like there's so much iteration and so much learning that happens in that experience, that often educators are the ones who are pulling that into the classroom and coming up with that sort of innovative way of teaching these subjects using these different tool sets. On the sort of other end of things, we have something like a Fresh Grade, which is a little bit different, right? So just for people to know, Fresh Grade is a new type of grade book. So when I was a kid, the teacher had a physical grade book, and she would write, "Frankie got a X out of 10 on the I won't say what X is. We got an X out of 10 on the quiz." And it's this sort of quantitative, not capturing the whole thing. But now that we're moving into project-based learning, right, we think that this is actually something that is really aligned with these Lego ideas of learning through play. But how do you capture that in an X out of 10 grading scheme? You really can't, right? So Fresh Grade is an opportunity to have a portfolio-based approach where students are actually taking pictures of their work as they're going through. And one of the sort of like light bulb moments for me with this is that a portfolio is not really about the end product. It's not only about the artifact of the completed project. It's also about capturing the process of the project. It's about the 3 different wrong turns that you took before you got to the final thing that you turned in, right? And investing in fresh grade is actually investing in giving teachers the tools to implement learning through play in the classroom, right? And we think that we need better tools like this in order for teachers to implement that. So we are able to, like, we have sort of a long-term, but also a very like practical view about what learning through play means and how to make investments that are going to promote that idea. And we're really excited to kick off the digital play sort of part of our investing. I think if you look at sort of like the dollars deployed, it's kind of heavier on the ed tech side, and that's where we spent our sort of initial focus in late 2018 and early 2019. And I think that you'll see as we turn the corner late 2020 and 2021, we'll be doing much more in the gaming space.
That's so great to hear. I mean, it's interesting hearing you describe the portfolio. In my mind, it kind of seems like a pretty clear analogy to the way that you've described Lego Ventures' portfolio, right? Like, not necessarily about any given project. The scope and vision might be totally different, but truly like the collection and how the whole is greater than one of its parts, right? I'm curious as to, we're thinking about this 2032 vision that the entire organization has. Where are you hoping Lego Ventures might land in that?
In that vision.
In that vision.
Yeah. So now you're really challenging me to like remember the corporate mantra off the top of my head, but it's basically saying that Lego is a global force for establishing and innovating on learning through play. So the idea is that there's this pedagogical method of learning through play that we believe has a ton of benefits, and that Lego is an industry leader in the industry of sort of deploying that, whether that be in the gaming or in the ed tech space and with Lego Education and some of our Lego games. And that we need to be the ones who are establishing and innovating, right? We need to be the ones who are making sure that learning through play is a concept that people know about, that people take play seriously and understand that it's a very important part of development. It's a time when people are able to try on new things. It's a time when it's okay to fail. It's a time when people are collaborating, and a lot of those 21st century skills that we talk about, like a play brings out so much of that. And Lego Ventures is part of that, where I think that we have a lot of, and this goes to one of the other questions actually on here about, do we do anything with Lego bricks? We are actually beyond the brick, right? So I think it's really important that we have sort of an internal capability of innovation, right? Of folks who are thinking about the Lego brick and how to sort of establish and innovate learning through play in that way. But we also have external folks, right? People who are in the market who are developing really great experiences. And we need a team at Lego that's actually interfacing with the market in that way. And that's what Lego Ventures was set up to do, is to be sort of that investment vehicle that promotes learning through play, these external opportunities of really innovative folks who are building new products.
Spectacular. Okay. We're coming up on the end of the session here, so I definitely want to make sure that we get any last minute questions in there.
So I see Kevin Caldwell. I can take that one. What criteria do you look at in a pre-seed investment? We honestly don't do that much pre-seed investments. I would say that we're normally looking at Series A and beyond. So revenue generating, and we look at your traditional metrics, sort of what is your revenue and that type of thing. That being said, when we do shift down and look at seed investments, what's really important is the team, right? Because we have an understanding that the product that we're even looking at right now is probably not what the product that's going to win is going to look like, right? It might take a couple of cranks at it, and it's really important that we have faith in the team is going to be able to execute on it. They have the vision, and that they are working well together, right? To execute on that vision. So in a pre-seed environment, the team is really important.
Great. Well, just to kind of wrap it up, Frankie, I want to reiterate and say thank you very much for joining. And thank you to the crew who's watching here. I want to make sure that folks who want to stay in touch can. Do you want to just let them know how they might be able to follow up with you?
At FWW on Twitter is one way to do that, and I will definitely get back to you.
Great, cool. Well, once again, thank you everybody for joining. Really appreciate it. And Frankie, I'm so looking forward to in the loop and watching Ventures grow over the course of the next couple of years.
Awesome! I can't wait to hear from the attendees reaching out. I'm super excited to talk to entrepreneurs. It's literally the best part of the job.
Definitely. Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.